sorry for being late. We were fixing a network error. Okay. So what did you learn last time? What do you remember last time? We started discussing the unification of Italy. What do you mean by unification? Unification means to be united, to be strong, and to be one. Instead of being many, being one is needed. So this is what the concept behind unification. So when we talk about unification of Italy, what do you understand? You can imagine that Italy had once been a disunited state. This happened in the 19th century. What do you understand from this? Italy was a disunited nation in the 19th century. Italy was the center of the Western Roman Empire. What was the center of the Western Roman Empire? You can tell me. Yes? Emmanuel? Meron? Ruth? Which European nation was the center of Western Roman Empire?
Italy.
Yes, Italy. Italy was the center of Western Roman Empire. So Italian states were very famous in the 19th century. What were the most famous Italian cities? The most famous Italian cities like Rome, Venice, Genoa, Florence were very famous during the Middle Ages. But they lost their importance due to great explorations and discoveries that resulted in the decline of Italian status. This was due to the fact that Italian cities declined because of the shift of trade routes from the Mediterranean to the Atlantic shores. So what do you understand about, why did Italian cities lose their importance? What is the main reason? Due to great explorations and discoveries that resulted in the shift of trade routes from the Mediterranean to the Atlantic shores. Following the discovery of America, the trade of Europe shifted from the Mediterranean to the Atlantic shores. So, Napoleon Bonaparte was the most powerful ruler of France. It's discussed in grade 9. Unfortunately, you didn't learn about Napoleon Bonaparte. So Napoleon Bonaparte was the ruler of France and most of Europe. So he created two republics in Italy. These two republics were called Cisalpine and Ligurian. Cisalpine and Ligurian were the two republics formed by Napoleon Bonaparte when he was the ruler of France and most of Europe. This means that Napoleon Bonaparte created impetus or the initiative in bringing Italian status. Of course, after Napoleon Bonaparte was defeated at the Battle of Waterloo in 1855, the Congress of Vienna was held. By the Congress of Vienna, which was held in 1815, the map of Europe was reshaped to something like it was before Napoleonic Wars. This means the Congress of Vienna reshaped the map of Europe, in which Italian and German states were disunited or scattered. So what do you understand from this? The reign of Napoleon Bonaparte in Europe was very important to the Germans and Italians. What is the main reason? because Napoleon Bonaparte created two republics in Italy. All of Italian states were members of these two republics. What were these two republics established by Napoleon? You can tell me. You can tell me the two republics formed by Napoleon in Italy. Yes? ጥያቄ ትመልሱም እንዴ? ኑሐሚን ኑሐሚን ያኔት ሜሮን Okay, so the two republics formed by Napoleon in Italy were Cisalpine and Ligurian. Okay, now what about after the end of Napoleon Bonaparte? Which Congress was held? Yes? The Congress of Vienna was held in 1815, in June 1815. And the Congress reshaped the map of Europe to something like it was before the Napoleonic Wars. So by this, Germans and Italian states were disunited and scattered. Okay, scattered ማለት ምንድነው? መበታተን ነው። Are you with me? አላችሁ እንዴ?
Yes.
Okay, so the reign of Napoleon Bonaparte in Europe was very important to Italians and Germans. True or false? It's true, because Napoleon Bonaparte created two republics in Italy. These two republics were Cisalpine and Ligurian, and all Italian cities were members of these two republics. But the Congress of Vienna reshaped the map of Europe. So let's see how the Italian states were scattered and disunited. For example, the Kingdom of Sardinia and Piedmont were recognized independent states. You know, the Kingdom of Sardinia and Piedmont were recognized as independent states. The two independent states were Sardinia and Piedmont. Later, these two states were joined and formed the Kingdom of Piedmont Sardinia. What about Venetia and Lombardy? They were under Austrian rule. What about Parma, Modena, Lucca, and Tuscany were restored through local rulers? What about the state of the Roman Catholic Church? The states of the Roman Catholic Church were called papal states, and they were ruled by the Pope directly. What do we call the states of the Roman Catholic Church? You can tell me. The states of the Roman Catholic Church were called? They were called papal states. Okay, papal states were ruled by whom? Ruth Wandemu?
By the Pope.
By the Pope, yes. So Italian states ruled by the Pope were called papal states or states of the Roman Catholic Church. What do you understand from this? The Roman Catholic Church had its own states, which were directly ruled by the Pope. What about Naples and Sicily? They were often known as the Kingdom of the Two Sicilies. They were restored under local rulers dominated by Austria. What about Rome? Rome was
under the control of France.
Under the control of France since 1848. What do you understand from this? Italian states were disunited. They had no unity among themselves. Okay, the two Italian states which were independent were, the two independent Italian states were Piedmont, Sardinia, because Sardinia and Piedmont formed a new state called Piedmont, Sardinia. Okay, so the Congress of Vienna disintegrated the two republics and delayed the unification of Italy. You know, the Congress of Vienna was disastrous to Italian status. Salim, welcome. Okay. So the presence of two foreign powers, France and Austria, arose national feeling, but hindered unification of Italy. So the two European powers that hindered the unification of Italy were France and Austria. Let me ask you a question. What were the two European powers that hindered the unification of Italy?
France and Austria.
Yes, because France was in control of Rome. Austria was in control of Venetia and Lombardy and Naples and Sicily. Okay. Okay. What about the role of the Pope? Did the Pope support the unification of Italy? The Pope was against the unification of Italy, who believed that a united Italy would end the Pope's role over papal status. So the Pope was against the unification of Italy. What is the main reason? What's the main reason? What is the main reason?
Because the Pope thought that his reign over the Papal States would be wrong.
Yes. Yes, he believed that, or he worried that once Italy was united, he would lose his status, he would lose his power. That's why he worked against the unification of Italy. So, you know, the unification of Italy began in the first quarter, in the first half of the 19th century. So it began in 1848. So the unification of Italy was started by three groups of Italian nationalists before 1848. So it was started by educated Italians. The educated Italians, together with other nationalists, followed three approaches for unification of Italy. So what I understand from the unification of Italy was started by educated Italians and nationalists. ናሽናሊስት ማለት ምን ማለት ነው? ባለፈው ነግሬያቸዋለሁ። ናሽናሊዝም ምን ማለት ነው በአማርኛ? ብሔርተኝነት ነው አይደል? ሀገር መውደድ፣ የራስን ሀገር መውደድ ብሔርተኝነት ነው። ሀገር መውደድ ናሽናሊዝም ነው። ስለዚህ ሀገራቸውን የሚወዱት ጣሊያኖች የጣሊያን ግዛቶች እንዲህ መበታተን በጣም ያሳዝናቸው ጣሊያኖች ናቸው። ጣሊያንን አንድ ያደረጉት ማለት ነው። So the unification of Italy was started by educated Italians and nationalists before 1848. So these nationalists can be grouped into three forms. The first one is Young Italy movement. Young Italy movement ማለት የጣሊያን ወጣቶች እንቅስቃሴ ማለት ነው። ንቅናቄ sorry. So, you know, the Young Italy movement was founded by whom? It was founded by
Giuseppe Mazzini.
Yes, by Giuseppe Mazzini, who lived from 1805 to 1872. Okay, so the purpose of Young Italia movement was creating a free Italian republic. Okay, what was the purpose? I mean, the aim of the Young Italy movement? It was aimed at creating a free Italian republic. Okay, what was the aim of the Young Italy movement? Bamlak. 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 Yannick. Yannick. Yeah, Fikr.
Creating a free Italian republic.
Yes, true.
To create a free Italian republic.
Yes, to create a free Italian republic. That was the aim of Young Italy movement. So to realize his ambition, Giuseppe Mazzini started a revolution in 1848. Of course, his revolution was suppressed or stopped by France. France sent its troops to Rome in order to capture and punish Giuseppe Mazzini. You know, France was involved in Italian crisis in order to protect the Roman Catholic Church. ፈረንሳይ ጣሊያን ውስጥ የገባችበት ምክንያት ምንድን ነው? የሮማን ካቶሊክ ቸርችን ምን ለማድረግ ነው? ለመከላከል ነው። So in 1848, Giuseppe Mazzini's movement was crushed. Okay, so Giuseppe Mazzini's plan in creating a free Italian republic was crushed. Let's see the second option, unification of Italy led by Piedmont. As I told you earlier, Piedmont was united with which states? Piedmont ከማን ጋር ነበር united የሆነችው?
Sardinia.
Yes, Sardinia. The kingdom of Sardinia was united with Piedmont, and then the name of the kingdom was known as Piedmont Sardinia, or shortly Piedmont. Okay, so this group wanted to unify Italy under the leadership of Piedmont's monarch. ስለዚህ የዓላማው ምንድን ነው? ጣሊያንን አንድ ማድረግ ነው ማለት ነው በፒድሞንት monarchy ስር ማለት ነው። So this was successful. The third one is unification of Italy under the Pope. So the Pope wanted the federation of all Italian states under the papacy. Is it acceptable? ይህ ተቀባይነት አለው እንዴ ስታስቡት? ቤተ መንግስት ሀገር ማስተዳደር ትችላለች? አሜን ቤተክርስቲያን ሀገር ማስተዳደር ትችላለች? ይቻላል? Can a church administer a country?
No.
No, it can't. A church cannot administer a country. A church only administers its own spiritual purposes. So this was totally unacceptable. So unification of Italy under the Pope, this totally rejected. You know, Young Italy movement rejected. Unification of Italy under the Pope rejected. So which one was successful? Which one was successful? Only the second one was successful, which is unification of Italy led by Piedmont Sardinia. Okay, only the second approach was successful. What is that? What is that approach? Can you tell me, please? which approach was successful in uniting Italy?
The
From
unification of Italy led by Piedmont.
Yes, this one is the correct answer. Unification of Italy under the leadership of Piedmont was successful. The two were rejected. Okay, let's see the course of the revolution. As I told you earlier, in 1848, Giuseppe Mazzini led a revolution which spread to other states. What was the purpose of, the aim of Giuseppe Mazzini? Creating a free Italian republic. Don't forget his aim. And the revolution was against Austria. Okay? The revolution of 1848 was against Austria because, as I told you earlier, France and Austria were the two European powers that worked against unification of Italy. So all of the Italian states fought against Austria. Only the Pope who refused to cooperate with Giuseppe Mazzini because Austrians were Catholics. So they supported, the Pope supported Austrians because Austrians were Catholic. You know, the Pope ordered the withdrawal of papal troops from Venetia in Lombardy. This means that, as I told you earlier, the Pope was against unification of Italy because he feared that he would lose his power and status. That's why he worked against unification of Italy. So other Italian states withdrew their troops from fighting. So Piedmont alone confronted Austrian forces. Piedmont was finally defeated and Lombardy and Venetia were restored. You know, this is the revolution of 1848, which was led by Giuseppe Mazzini. You know, did the Pope support Italian troops against Austria? This is my question. Did the Pope support Italian troops against Austria? No, he didn't support. He ordered them to withdraw from fighting. Finally, Piedmont left alone in fighting Austria. So the result was that Lombardy and Venetia were restored to Austria. So this was followed by bitter opposition to the Pope, who fled Rome in 1848. You know, the Pope became the most hated person in Italy because he supported the enemies. Who were these enemies? You can tell me. Who were these enemies? Melody? Who were these enemies of Italians? Austrians. The answer is easy, Austrians. So the Pope ordered the withdrawal of papal troops from Venetia and Lombardy. Okay, so in 1848, the Pope fled Rome. Fled ማለት መሰደድ ማለት ነው። ሮምን ለቆ ነው ወደ ፈረንሳይ የተሰደደው ፖፑ ማለት ነው። The Giuseppe Mazzini's insurrection was very successful and Rome was declared a republic and Mazzini led the new government. Okay. Now let's see French involvement. Napoleon III. Who was Napoleon I? Napoleon I was the ruler of France and most of Europe. Okay. Napoleon III sent troops to capture Rome, and the Pope was restored to his authority, and the French troops stayed in Rome till 1870. Okay, so which led to Mazzini's plan failure. You know, when French troops occupied Rome, Giuseppe Mazzini's plan failed because French troops occupied Rome. የፈረንሳይ ወታደሮች ሮምን ከተቆጣጠሩት በኋላ ጂሴፔ ማዚኒ ምንድን የሆነው ከሸፈበት ማለት ነው። ከዛ በኋላ ከሮም ነው የወጣው እሱ። የፈረንሳይ ወታደሮች ናቸው ከሮም ያስወጡት። Yes. Okay. So Rome was under French control from 1848 to 1870. So let's see, as I told you earlier, from the three approaches, only one was successful in uniting Italy. That was unification of Italy under Piedmont. So the leading personality in the unification of Italy was Count Camillo Cavour, who lived from 1810 to 1861, who became the Prime Minister of Piedmont in 1852. So Count Camillo Benso di Cavour, shortly, Cavour was very famous in Italian history because he was the Prime Minister of Piedmont in 1852. So he decided to drive Austrians first. He knew that France and Austria were the two enemies of Italy. Internally, the Pope was internally working against unification of Italy. Externally, Austria and France were working against unification of Italy. So he knew his enemies, but he didn't want to attack his enemies at a time. You cannot attack your enemies at a time. You should attack your enemies one after another. ጠላቶቻችሁን በአንድ ጊዜ ማጥቃት አይቻልም። ይቻላል? ጠላትም ብዙ ጠላቶች ካሏችሁ ማለት ነው ሁሉንም በአንድ ጊዜ አይደለም የምታጠቁት። እንዴት ነው ታዲያ የምታጠቁት? ተራ በተራ ነው። So this is what Cavour did. So he decided to drive Austria first. So he followed a more skillful diplomacy in achieving his plan. First, he sent troops to fight on the side of France and Britain against Russia in the Crimean War, 1854-56. You know, between 1854 and 1856, Russia and Ottoman Turkey were fighting. Ottoman Turkey was declining, you know, Ottoman Empire. Ottoman Empire ተምራችኋል አይደል? አስተምራችኋለሁ። Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, so in the 19th century, the Ottoman Empire was collapsing, declining due to internal and external factors. So Russia posed a challenge against Ottoman Empire. So Russia and Ottoman Empire fought a war, which is called Crimean War. Crimean War was fought between Russia and Ottoman Turkey. France and Britain sided or helped Ottoman Empire because they wanted to see the weak Ottoman Empire than the powerful Russians. So Camillo Benso di Cavour, or the Prime Minister of Piedmont, realized how to defeat Austria. So he sent troops to help Britain and France in the war against Russia. Okay, so he did this in order to get French help against Austria. So French and Piedmont troops could defeat Austria. But in return, Cavour promised to cede the provinces of Nice and Savoy to France. Cede ማለት ምንድን ነው? መስጠት፣ አሳልፎ መስጠት ነው። So Cavour promised to cede the provinces of Nice and Savoy to France. This is precondition. So French troops helped Piedmont in the war against Austria because they were promised the two provinces of Nice and Savoy. Okay, Nice and Savoy. Okay, What were the two provinces Cavour promised to cede to France? Yes? What were the two provinces? አይታያችሁም? ስክሪኑ አይታያችሁም እንዴ?
Nice and Savoy.
Yes, Nice and Savoy. So in 1859, France and Piedmont defeated Austria at the Battle of Magenta and Solferino. Okay. So Austria was defeated at the Battle of Magenta and Solferino in 1859. But Napoleon III ignored his promise and concluded a separate treaty with Austria, in which Venetia was restored to Austria. However, Cavour bitterly resented this. You know, shortly after 1859, the Battle of Magenta and Solferino, Napoleon made a secret agreement with Austria, in which Austria again regained Venetia. But in this war, Lombardy was given to Piedmont. በዚህ ጦርነት ፔድሞንት ምንድን ነው ያገኘችው? ሎምባርዲን ያገኘችው። ቬኔሽያንስ አግኝታለች? አላገኘችም። ምክንያቱም ናፖሊዮን ዘሰርድ ሶስተኛ ድብቅ ትሪቲ ነበር ከኦስትሪያ ጋር ስምምነት ነበር ከኦስትሪያ ጋር የተፈራረመው። ከዛ ቬኔሽያ እዛው ቀረች ማለት ነው። ሶ ካቮር ቢተርሊ ሪዘንትድ ዚስ በጣም ነበር ካቮር የተበሳጨው ማለት ነው። ምክንያቱም ካቮር ቃሉን ጠብቋል፣ ናፖሊዮን ዘሰርድ ግን ቃሉን አልጠበቀም። ትክክል? Is it clear, guys?
Yes.
Hello? Isama?
Oh, Mr.
Okay, quiet. So, now, you know, Italian nationalists in North and Central Italy revolted against Austria. You know, again, Austria was opposed by Northern and Central Italian states. So states in North Central Italy were united with Piedmont in 1860 under Victor Emmanuel II. You know, Victor Emmanuel II was the king of Piedmont. Who was Prime Minister of Piedmont? The Prime Minister of Piedmont was Cavour, and the king of Piedmont was Victor Emmanuel II. Okay. What about who united southern Italian states? It was Giuseppe Garibaldi. Giuseppe Garibaldi united states of southern Italy with Piedmont by leading his famous volunteer army known as the Thousands or Red Shirts. Never confused with Giuseppe Mazzini, the Young Italy movement. What about Giuseppe Garibaldi? He was known for uniting southern Italian states with Piedmont, and his famous armies were called the Thousands. There is S here, Thousands or Red Shirts. Why do we call them Red Shirts? Red Shirts because their number was 1,000 and they wore red shirts. That's why he's famous for mobilizing his troops called Thousands or Red Shirts against Austria. So he abandoned his Republican sentiments and cooperated with Piedmont. So Cavour sent troops to papal status and Central Italy controlled them. So in 1861, the Kingdom of Italy was proclaimed in Turin. You know Turin? Turin ታውቃላችሁ?
Yes.
Turin, where, you know Juventus? Juventus ታውቃላችሁ? Yes, where Juventus football club is based. So, sorry for the interruption. Turin is where Juventus Football Club is based. So Turin was the first capital of Italy. The first capital. This happened in 1861. So shortly, it was Cavour who united Italy using diplomacy and war. Okay, so Venetia was restored in 1866. In 1866. In 1866. So in 1870, Rome was restored. So this marked the end of unification of Italy. So what what you have to understand in today's lesson is that Italy was a disunited state in the 19th century. So, the two powerful and independent states of Italy were Piedmont and Sardinia. Finally, they were united and called Piedmont Sardinia. Venetia and Lombardy were under Austria. Parma, Modena, and Tuscany were under local rulers. What do we call the state of the Roman Catholic Church? The state of the Roman Catholic Church. Yes?
Papal states.
Papal states. And they were directly ruled by the Pope. Do you have any question? Do you have any question? Yes? If no, thank you for your participation. See you next time. Okay?